So Terraform is the one we're going to start in the beginning. What is Terraform? So everybody knows that what is Terraform, at least what is Terraform. Um, okay, what is Terraform? We know that it is infrastructure as code tool. What is infrastructure as a code tool? As we've discussed earlier, or if you guys have not joined right in the demo session, I'll just brief what is Terraform. Terraform is one of the tools which will help you to build your infrastructure or modify your infrastructure or manage different version of the infrastructure. Say, for example, today you are in a requirement. You are starting your company. Let's say a gaming company. You are starting game development company. You need some servers. Servers on cloud. So mainly the infrastructure as a code is mainly used for the resources which are on cloud or on premise as well. But the resources are located somewhere. We need to provision the infrastructure, whether it's on cloud or on premise, wherever it is, but we need to provision the infrastructure. Say, for example, we need to create some servers, storage, network, a firewall rule, a DNS, a lot of stuff we wanted to create. Now, what we will do, we will just go to wherever we wanted. Maybe we wanted in AWS Cloud or Azure Cloud or Google Cloud or Oracle, wherever we wanted, we'll just go. We will, manually go and create one by one resource. Before that, we create an action item. We'll do the checklist and do one by one. It is going to be a manual operation. Think about the scenario one time if it is fine. Now, if you are in a current scenario, right? Whenever you want to provision a spin up a new infrastructure for a complete new region, maybe in US you provisioned it, again UK you have to provision it, again maybe during the redeployment, newer release you need to reprovision it. When you say blue green deployment, right? You need to reprovision the entire infrastructure. So in that case, what would you do? Again and again going back, creating manually, or do kind of changes on the existing infrastructure manually doesn't give a optimized result. Why? Because whenever there is a human manual operation, there will be human error, right? So to avoid all these things, we need to have a kind of a automated way. So this tool helps you to automate provisioning the infrastructure, right, through code. So we are going to write code, right? We're going to write code infrastructure. Sorry, I did something. All right. So infrastructure as a code, which will help you to manage and provisioning the infrastructure through code instead of the manual process. That's what I was saying. Like we are going to write the code. So we have some alternate tools, which is like Puppet, Chef, Ansible, SaltStack, AWS CloudFormation. AWS CloudFormation is specific to AWS. Likewise, we have many tools available in the market. We have picked Terraform because Terraform is popular and which is applicable for many. It is applied for many cloud. And let's say you're learning today for AWS Cloud. Tomorrow you moved your profile to Azure or GCP. Terraform remains same. All the technique that you're going to write provisioning the resource is going to be same. Just that the reference for creating the resources in other cloud, that may change, right? So that is what Terraform is all about. We are going to learn about how we will build our new infrastructure using our code, how we will change the existing infrastructure using our code, how we will modify, let's say I want to re-provision one more newer version in my company. How do I do it? So to do all these things, right? Terraform has a mechanism to track your changes. See, if there is no tracking, right, what will happen? Say, folks, like today you provisioned 5 servers with some 10 storage and different things you've done. Tomorrow you might need to add additional store because the data is growing. Now, if you have tracked that already you provisioned a 10 storage, then you will be able to say hey, increase it to 12. If you have not tracked, then how will you be able to increase it? You will again have to go and manually do it. It's again a manual thing, right? But Terraform has a mechanism to manage the state of the infrastructure, whenever we are updating, whenever we are changing something, whenever we are applying some changes into the infrastructure, Terraform has a mechanism to track all these things. That is through the configuration file called as state file. We will see all these things. We will see eventually, guys. I'm just giving some kind of introduction how it is gonna be managing. Just a few idea I wanted to give, right? The same thing as I told you, it allows you to build, change, version infrastructure safely and effectively. Why we are saying safely and effectively? Because, say for example, today you provisioned. I told you to provision. I'm a manager. I told you to provision 5 servers and 10 storage, and with some networking and all this stuff. You have provisioned it. Again, what have you done is, again you re-executed the same code to provision. What will happen if you re-provision it again? 5 more servers and with all your storage and things will be provisioned. But it should not actually, right? Because you already provisioned. There should be some state which manages all these things. So safely you can manage it. Why we are saying safely, as in before you say, hey, execute this code, you can actually visualize what it is going to execute. Whether our infrastructure already have this in a, code provisioned or not. So those things you will be able to see properly. I mean, do that safety things before you go for infrastructure provisioning, right? You can do with Terraform. So I'll tell you how do we do that. We can plan and then we can apply. We can also see some kind of a graph where what are the resources are going to get provisioned, right? So we can also, so with Terraform, you can provision your low level component like server, storage, networking, or the high level component. All these SaaS components are called as high level components. The DNS entries, few configurations on cloud, everything can be managed with your Terraform. Okay, so that's what, and it is open source and we use as a declarative language. We call it as HCL, HashiCorp Configuration Language. So what is this language? Is it a special one, or it's a very simple one, guys? You don't have to worry about writing this HCL at all, because we have tons of things online already available. If you are going to start writing your code for your new use case in your company, you do not have to worry because we have tons of examples online. You just have to know how do we orchestrate. That's a skill. But if you want to write it from scratch, uh, we will have the skill end of this course. That's what I'm trying to say. All right. Before I proceed, folks, any questions? Folks, any questions?
Hi, Satish.
No? Yeah,
Hi.
Purna.
So, any advantage you saw on so many other tools and several others. So, what is the advantages in Terraform if you compare
Yeah.
other tools?
So comparing other tools, right? Like Ansible, Ansible, if you compare, right? Ansible is not only for this infrastructure as a code. You can also use it. It's not that you cannot use it. You can use Ansible, you can use Puppet, you can use Chef. But Terraform is open source. First and foremost thing. Second thing is, like, it supports all the cloud infrastructure. Most of the clouds are supported by Terraform, and it is pretty simple to use as well. Also, the main thing is it has a state management, right? The main state management will help you to modify the infrastructure. Modify as in today you provisioned it. After 4 or 5 years, you want to modify the infrastructure, right? Then you have Terraform state files, which helps you to track the configuration, and you will be able to, modify the infrastructure changes with easily, with a very less code changes. Okay. So
Yeah.
that's main advantage, I would say. So very minimal code change. Let's say you provisioned it today, and after 1 year you want to just upgrade the server. You do not want to modify anything. You just want to upgrade one of the server or storage. Just
Yeah.
just one parameter, just change it, and you will be able to do it.
Okay.
Right?
Thank you. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Any other questions, folks? Guys, any questions? Guys, initial days you should talk. Why I'm saying is, like, before you join the course, you will have a lot of doubts, uh, whether you are able to understand, or whether you are able to uh, go for it. Many doubts you will have it. Clarify all your doubts.
Can you go back to the second slide? I just joined, like I'm like 10-15 minutes late. Just
No
second.
problem. I have just explained about the alternatives. That's it. I
So,
was just explaining
Satish
how.
sir, I have one query that AWS CDK. I have a doubt. Like this doubt is like I don't know how to explore or clear the confusion. So AWS having SDK, right, software development environment, and CDK also. So
Mhm.
are these CDK or SDK can be used for automation? Like some like EC2. We want to understand like we have a certain number of EC2, right? Or a
Yes.
system manager is properly configured or not. So we want to write a Python script. So should we
Mhm.
like we want to do it in within the AWS environment or whatever official
Mhm.
environment. So CDK
Mhm.
or SDK, how to implement in this case, like that kind of you know consolidated approach. Can we use that for automation purpose, like some daily task?
You can, but the optimal way, right? The CDK or SDK and all, if you are using it for just a infrastructure provisioning, it is not optimal, I would say, because tracking would be little difficult. But when you say Terraform, all this infrastructure as a core tool, right?
Mm-hmm.
That will have a tracking of your infrastructure. So, so the AWS SDK approach is mainly for automating some sort of task. Let's say every day I want to take some backup. Every
Mm.
day I want to
Correct.
perform some kind of automation. So for those things, you can go for this SDK or CDK approach. But
Okay.
for provisioning the infrastructure for longer time, it is not suggested to use your the SDK approach.
So suppose some repeating task like I want to perform.
Mhm.
So SDK approach, if I do like
That
I
is
need to
perfectly
understand
fine.
like
Yeah, that is
SDK
perfectly fine.
approach, like how it would be current, like we will write down some code, Python
You
code,
need to
and
write down the code.
Mhm.
Exactly. You need to write down the Python code. You need to set up a job in order to perform it, keep like, maybe a cron job or something like that. You need to perform it. Or in AWS also, we have the services, right? You can do the Lambda services
Yeah,
or anything.
Lambda, CloudWatch
It,
calling, and
yeah,
all this.
exactly. So that is something that you can plan, but that is not suggested for the infrastructure provisioning. So for the infrastructure provisioning,
Mhm.
it is especially the Terraform.
And that CDK, so SDK has this more limitation look like now. If come to the configuration management, suppose deployment of application, right, jar file and all these things, configuration of
Hmm.
creating the master, master password for, suppose I'm doing the RDS setup, right,
Hmm. Hmm.
MySQL RDS setup, some parameter group putting. CDK also not good way to hold that thing
Not
because
not good way, not good way, not good way.
okay.
Do it in Terraform. Because see, if you're doing it via SDK, when you again
Hmm.
re-execute it, it provisions one more. You get one more servers. You get one more. So you need to write your code in such a way that for validation also you have to write the code. So completely you need to write like an end-to-end code you need to write, but that's burden. You don't have to do it with Terraform basically. Already you have a tool with a very minimal effort.
Yeah, and all these things in a repo. Keep it in a repo,
Yes.
uh, fire to that specific targeted AWS account or the with
Just run
certain
the CI. You can integrate with your CI. Just run it.
uh,
You don't need to do any kind of code sort of thing. Just write once, do via CI every time. That's it.
mm. So no need to reinvent the wheel. So let us focus on
No,
just only.
no need to, no need to. Yes.
Mm. And lately, my couple of my colleagues, junior, they are exploring Go. So is that the
Hmm.
thing like whatever written into Terraform that can be written into Go in a more better way? Is that the,
Mm,
because I see one
uh,
of my senior in my company, like he's very senior. I cannot ask too many things. He wrote
mhm.
Kubernetes deployment and other things in Go.
Kubernetes deployments and all, for that you need Go, right? But for Terraform is mainly for
Mm.
infrastructure. Let's say you want to provision EKS on top of AWS. For that you
Ah,
go
right.
with Terraform. But
Mm.
to do some deployment inside this, right, for your, OpenStack, sorry, what's that, Kubernetes or OpenShift or any environment, you write with Go. Go because Kubernetes basically written with Go, right? The entire
Correct.
platform is written with Go. So for that, you can go specific to that application, go with Go,
Mm.
but not for the infrastructure provisioning.
And
He,
that is
you
over.
can ask him. Yeah, exactly. You can ask him, are you doing the provisioning using Go? He will not say yes, because he won't do the provisioning with Go. He will do the application level configuration or the deployment or something to do with Kubernetes to do in Go, but not with entire thing in Go. I mean the infra provisioning in Go.
No,
He
infra
will
is
not be
not
able to.
in Go. Yeah, code infra
He will
is
not.
in
Yes, exactly.
Terraform, and
So our part
some
is, yeah,
wrapper,
correct.
something is in Go and JavaScript.
Exactly. So after provisioning the infra, inside that, if you want to perform some operation, you can do with Go or Python or whatever that you are familiar with. Because he is familiar with Go, he can go ahead. Or else you are familiar with Python, you can actually go with Python as well, right?
You're right. Python is the underlying layer of
Yeah,
AWS also, right? So
yeah.
EKS is on AWS and mostly
You can use Python, Go, anything which you prefer.
Yeah, sorry, I just joined as well. I just wanted to know, are we starting with Terraform or Python?
We are starting with Terraform. We are starting with Terraform. First, we focus Terraform, complete it, and then move to Python. I hope no questions. I'll proceed, folks. Okay. So the next thing which I want to talk about is a key feature, which is already discussed, but I'm just telling you, which is on the high level language, which is human readable language. You can easily write your declarative configuration files and you can easily read it. The Terraform internally converts the HCL, right? The HashiCorp's configuration language that internally converts and invoke the API and performs it. You just have to invoke some command. You just have to use some commands in order to execute those. So there is no much commands in Terraform, as I told you. Like it is very, simple commands. I will tell you, each and every command has its own purpose. Very less commands. You do not have to buy head or something like that in order to do some Terraform thing. And also the very big advantage we see using this Terraform is we can see the execution plan before we go and apply something, right? We can see the execution plan. Let's say if you're doing with Python, right? Python and all, you need to write your unit test cases. Here also you will write the unit cases. Unit test, I'm not talking about the testing perspective, but again, like, in the plan, right? Let's say whatever the code I have written, what will it perform? Whether it is going to create or it is going to destroy, it is going to modify anything, right? Before we apply our code, we will be able to see the plan. What will happen if my code get executed? So that is the main feature, I would say, because before you go and execute, because it's an infrastructure, it cost involved. Whatever that you're provisioning has some cost behind that. And that is where our management is concerned more, right? Basically, because cost is what very important aspect when it comes to a project, because that's where the investment is, right? Now, when you actually applied it, you provision the infrastructure, end of the month you get a bill, your manager get a bill, and you have to justify that why have you provisioned it. If it is mainly for some sort of bigger team and it's a bigger infrastructure, you did not verify it, you just provisioned it without even verifying it. What will happen is that ended up with cost. Now you have to see the execution plan, what it is going to provision. So how many servers I need, how many storages I need, how many networking policies I need, all these resources, whatever that I'm going to create, or the resources which are going to get modified, or which are resources which are going to get deleted, we can visually see in the execution plans. So it will tell you. So when you are trying to plan the infrastructure, it will tell you, like, five resources needs to be created, three needs to be changed, and five needs to be deleted, something like that. So the execution plan, based on your execution plan, you can actually understand your code. Okay, this code is gonna do this. And if you need some modification in that, modify your code again. So before you go for applying your infrastructure changes, you will be able to execute your execution plan. All right. Now, resource graph is one of the feature basically. What it does is it builds a kind of a graph basically. What is that graph contains? That graph will show you what are the dependent resources and what is basically the entire graph of your infrastructure. Let's say you're provisioning a server. Server is not just depending on one resource, right? There are multiple resources, storage, networking, VPC, subnets, and things like that. So all the resources get created individually, and then your EC2 instance can get created. Right. So in that case, resource graph help you to see, like, what is a relationship between different resources and what resources are going to get created, right? So that is what a resource graph is. We will see how do we generate the resource graph. And change automation, yeah, as I told you, uh, a very bigger infrastructure, I want to modify some configuration or some any sort of infrastructure, I will be able to modify in the code. Let's say today you provisioned T3 large or T2 large. Tomorrow you might need it T2 double XL, right? You just change the particular type and do a Terraform code apply. It will directly change it. You do not have to go to UI. and say change it and restart, do all kind of stuff. You just have to do it from your code with a very minimal effort. Even when you are changing your automation, you will be able to see the execution plan. You modified some code and you will be able to see your execution plan in your Terraform. All right. So these are the key features I'm talking about, but there are a lot of features, but I wanted to highlight these feature, and we are going to see all how it is going to work. Okay, so I'm going to tell you how to set up this Terraform in our machine. But before setting up the Terraform in our machine, right, first I would ask you to create a AWS account. I don't know whether everyone has your AWS account created, but I would suggest you guys to create your AWS account. Go to console.aws.amazon.com. So here is your portal to go and sign up. So I'll just ping all the details, guys, in the chat box. Please note it down. I'm just pinging, or you can say console.aws.amazon.com as well. So go here in order to create your AWS account. I hope everybody have your AWS account. If not, go ahead and create it. So how to create your AWS account? I'll just tell you how to create your AWS account. So go to this portal. You will get the prompt here, root user and IAM user. You don't have to do anything. Come to the last button called as create new AWS account. It's a normal sign up process, guys. Go ahead and sign up your account, but it will also give your email address and name. In the next step, it will ask you to verify your card, your credit card or debit card. If you are from India, do not use RuPay card. RuPay cards are not accepted. Was not accepted. Now are they accepting? AWS accepts RuPay. Are they applying? I mean, accepting now? Oh, okay. RuPay cards are also accepted now. Cool. It was not accepted earlier, but now they're accepting supporting payments. If you see, they're accepting all this RuPay card as well. Okay, cool. Right. So go ahead and apply your card information. Sharing your card information. Don't worry about it until you pay the bill on your own. They won't auto deduct. Do not worry about it. And it will deduct 2 rupees, I guess. Initially, it will deduct 2 rupees, but that will be reverted back because that is to validate your account is valid or not. But make sure, guys, first time when you type your card information, make sure you're typing it properly because one time if you fail to apply, right, like, next time it will make some trouble, like it won't accept it immediately or activate it immediately. So make sure your card details
Sorry,
are proper.
sorry for the interruption. We are using the Terraform. We are using the Terraform code in the Visual Studio Code, right? In this
Yes,
in our session, we are right. Am I right?
yes, yes.
Okay, okay,
We
okay.
will see that. We will see that. Yeah. Okay. All right. So put your card information. After you have, you have provided your card information, then it'll ask you whether your account is going to be personal or business, and free support, paid support, developer support, something like that. Go with free option. Go with personal option. That's it. So once you have created, again come back to your console.aws.amazon.com. So here there are two types of user: root user and IAM user. What is root user and what is IAM user? Folks, what is root user and what is IAM user?
Root user is like super user for that specific account or owner. Sorry, union.
Mm-hmm.
OU. IAM user is like have less privilege and always managed by super user after certain limit. After certain, uh,
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly.
I am not
So
very particular about definition, but root user is the ultimate owner actually. That's
exactly. So only one root user will be having. So if you are creating your account, you are the root user and only one root user, which means who is the owner of that account, right? And except root user, under that account, if you created any user, all other users are called as IAM users, right? Why? Because this is the owner. Under the root user account, there'll be a lot of employees. So the root user usually created at company level, and company will have a lot of employees. That will give accessibility to the employees, right? Access they will provide it to all the employees. Different employees will have different sort of permissions. They will have different permission. Maybe some people have admin permission, some people have only developer permission, some people have different sort of only storage permission, network permission, different permissions we will have. So for that, you need IAM user. But for now, when you created your account, click on root user and sign in. Just sign in. You will be landed in this page. This is your AWS Management Console. So AWS can be accessible via multiple way. One of the way is this AWS Management Console. This is called as Management Console. You will come here and interact all these things from this console only. Uh, the other way is you can write your Python code that we will see during our Python class. And we can write our Terraform code that we are going to see in this Terraform course. How are we going to interact with AWS using Terraform? Right? So coming here and doing all these things are the manual operation. Coming to the portal and so doing all these things are the manual operation. For the first time, folks, only for the first time, you created your root user, right? But all the AWS operations should be done by using IAM user only. Now, when we want to do the Terraform, right? I want to write some code. My code should come to this particular account and execute and create the resources in this particular account. How will it perform? I need to create a user under this account. I'll tell you how to create the user account. Make sure you create your user account, get the credential, and then we will configure in our Terraform. How do we create our IAM user and how do we get the credential? First time you're going to do it manually. Why? Because we need the credential. After you get the credential, you can write your Terraform code. You can even manage all other users using Terraform. You can manage all the users using Terraform, perform many operations using Terraform. But first time, you need the credential. So this is the portal. If you guys have not aware much, please have a basic understanding of the AWS services. I can suggest some of the AWS courses. So when you go here, right, if you click on uh, this, right, if you click on documentation, this gives you documentation and training. There are some videos like, available. If you click on cloud practitioner, right, I'll suggest explore this training and take this as a basic one, guys. Like a basic understanding, you will get it if you guys are completely free. See, it is free, completely free, guys. This is a game-based learning and you have a digital course as well. So it is free for some 6 hours of course. You can go and take this, folks, if you guys are not aware. Okay. So this gives you a complete, idea about how to get your AWS skills, basic skills, right? What is EC2? How do we manage and things like that, right? And then come to this portal where this is the place you select all your region. But for now, we are not going to worry about anything because our focus is not via this portal. Our focus is to write our code to manage everything. But to write the first code, we need the credential. We cannot, okay, you can ask me, hey Satish, we have created the user account and we have the root user email address and password. Can't we use that credential in our code? We cannot use it. The answer is we cannot use it. Why? Because there are two types of access in AWS. One is the root user, I mean the console access. We come to the portal, we type username and password. For any type of user, which means the root user or IAM user, you come to the portal, type your username, password. That's one kind of authentication. The other kind of authentication is called as a programmatic authentication in AWS. What is programmatic authentication? We do not get the username and password. Instead, we get some key, access key and secret key. Where we will get it? We just created the account. We did not get anything, any such kind of things. How do we get it? That's what I'm going to tell you. We are going to create our first user. You can ask me why to create the user. We already just have created our root user account, right? Why can't we use a root user account for programmatic? It is always strongly insisted by AWS to not use root user credentials for automation. You should never use root user credential for automation, right? You always use IAM user credential for automation. But we do not have any IAM user, right? We just created the root user and logged in. We need to create one IAM user. For that IAM user, we need to give the full permission, the AWS account full administration permission, right? And then we get the credential, which is access key and secret key. Using that, we will configure in our Terraform configuration in our local, right? So how do we create it? You go here, click on IAM, I just saw in my home page, I just directly clicked it. If you do not find it, right, just go to search, type IAM, you see IAM, which is Identity Access Management. Click that, right? So if you click, already I have 2 users, but I'll just show you how to create it. There are some security recommendations. You have to do MFAs and things like that. You do not have to worry for now because we need to focus on the automation part. So in the left panel, you click on the users. You see there are 2 users I have created. How to create a new user? Click on create user. Go to the username. I'll say Terraform class is a username. Or I'll say Terraform. Terraform is a username. Username is Terraform I'm going to give. And you see there is an option called as provide user access to console. I'm not going to enable it. Why? Because the user I'm going to create Terraform do not need to have the console access, need not to have username and password. Why? Because this particular user is mainly for automation, right? Now you click on next and you go to set permission. What kind of permission we are going to give for this particular Terraform user? I'm going to give full permission. Why? Because Terraform is going to control by writing the code, is going to create any kind of resources inside this AWS account. So what I want is, I'll click on attach policy directly. I'll give administrator access. There are thousands of access you can give in your AWS for different services. I'm going to give administrator access. Why? Because this particular Terraform user is going to provision many things, create things, delete things, many things he's going to perform. Actually, it is not suggested to give a complete administrator permission for any user, because this particular credential, if someone gets it, he can play with anything, right? He can do anything, just increase your bill. But always go with the restricted permission. What kind of permission you want to give? Give only that permission to that particular user. For now, for the class purpose, I'm giving this administration permission. But if you go to the work, right, always insist the user to tell what kind of permission they need it, so that you use only that level of permission, not all the permissions, right? Not the administrator permission. Let's go and create the user. Now I just created the user. The user is created, but I do not have the access key and secret key, right? There is no credential for this user. How to do that? Click on the particular user, go to security credential. In this, right, I just actually first, I'll just repeat, guys. I went to the AIM service. The left side, I clicked on user. I created user by clicking on create user, did the steps, and then the user is appeared here. I'm clicking that particular username. There's an option called as security credential. In this security credential, you will be able to see the access keys. There is no access keys created. Click on create access key. For what purpose we are going to do this? We are going to use it in order to run our Terraform, right? Our Terraform code, we're going to execute it. You can use it for CLI purpose. You can use it for your local code. You're writing your Python code, or any kind of purpose you can use it. I'm just going to do this other. I'm just going to need not to give other. Basically, I can give for third-party services, right? Not third-party service. Basically, I'm going to give it for Terraform, but I'll just use application running outside AWS, or I'll just go with others. I'll go with others. I'll click on next. Or the tags, you can add it, optional thing. I'll just go with access keys. Now it is created. You see here, this is access key and this is a secret key. You can copy this and put it in your notepad or somewhere. First you copy this. Why I'm saying is, I'll tell you how to configure in our local machine. So in our local machine, we have to configure this. How to configure, I'm going to tell you next. But first step is get the credentials from your AWS account. So make sure everybody performs this by today, guys, because tomorrow we'll start with our Terraform code directly. If everyone have configured. If you guys are facing some issue, do not worry. During the session, I'll help you out. I'll help you to set it up if you guys are facing issue. But I hope everyone can. It's a simple thing, right? Like get the access keys. I'll just download it as a CSV because I might use it in future. I'll just download it as a CSV. I can use it. I'll say done. I'm done with my account setup. Now AWS user is created. Now I need not to go to console at all. Going forward, I can directly use my code in order to perform all this operation. Right? I'll take a pass right here. Any questions, folks? Any questions? Comments?
Yes.
If you feel that I'm going a little faster, let me know immediately. Stop me right away so that I can help you guys. I can repeat. I'm fine to repeat the things as well. But you guys need to let me know. If you guys have not told me, right, then again, I will not come to know, right? What is the thing? So please let me know. Yeah, someone was asking some question.
Yes. Hi, Sajis. I have a question
Yeah.
about, yes, it's about resources. Assuming I have 4 or 5 resources in Terraform, and
Mm-hmm,
I modify 2 resources like A and B, and
mm-hmm,
and I would like, when do get like a Terraform plan, I can see
mm-hmm.
those both resources are modified, and I would like to just deploy one resources. How do I go by? Instead of
So if
deploying
you have
both, I just want to deploy one.
so if you have modified both, right, in plan, if
Yes.
it tells both, then if you apply, both will be applied. If you do not want both, then modify it to only one.
Okay, but my question was, I've already modified both, and I just want to deploy one instead of both.
You can go, but you can go module. If it is a module, you can go by module.
Okay.
You can do that.
Okay. What about creating a workspace? It can work also or no?
Sorry.
What if we go by creating a workspace?
Mm-hmm.
Does it work or
So workspace, again, everything
yeah,
is going to be whatever that you're planning and applying, it's going to be within the workspace only. Workspace is kind of an environment you are selecting. Within the environment only, you will do the plan and apply. Let's say you want to apply for one specific resource, then you can mention hyphen target with specific resource as well. You want to do a plan and apply only for that particular resource. But workspace is at the top level. Within that, you will perform plan and apply. So it's not
okay?
at the below level of plan and apply. It is at the one level.
Okay, because I got this interview question and I was kind of confused how to
Yeah,
reply.
yeah. So
So
one thing I strongly insist everyone, folks, it needs hands-on. If you forget to do at least one hands-on, if you forget to do, what will happen is you will end up with question, but you will not be able to solve it. Though you know the answer, like, you might have studied or you might have uh, seen that it is performing, but until you perform the hands-on, right, you will struggle to answer. That's something that, like, you need to perform the hands-on. Why I'm strongly saying is, like, hands-on. If you miss, I mean, during the session, if you miss to practice, after the session, you might think, okay, after the course I'll perform, I'll practice it, but it'll never happen. I've seen in my past experience as well, right? After the course, you will never touch it. So during the course, please do it so that you will be able to be in touch with the technology every day.
okay, so the solution you are saying is to use a model, right? A module.
I mean, if you're using module or any resources, anything is fine. But what you need to do is hyphen target. So do apply for hyphen target equals to the particular resource. So you do
Okay,
Terraform
okay.
apply, right? Terraform apply hyphen
Yeah,
target the
yeah.
particular resource. That's it.
Right,
Do a
right.
plan,
Okay,
but in plan it will tell you both, but apply only for that particular resource.
okay, okay. The target. Okay, thank you.
Yes. Folks who don't understand what are we talking about much thing, don't worry about it. It's little in depth basically. Don't worry about it.
So the
I
workspace concept is for Terraform Enterprise or normal Terraform also it's nowadays.
No, you can use it for anything. Terraform environment it is basically, right? Workspace you can create for normal Terraform as well, not just for the enterprise.
Okay.
Satish, will we use Jenkins also like to run the Terraform script for provisioning of services?
You can
But
use it, but in this, if you want the direction how to include Jenkins, I can help you out. But that's not the context here mainly. Our focus is fully on Terraform. But Jenkins, you want to integrate. If you already know Jenkins, I can help you how to integrate as well.
okay, but in the real time, I I'm seeing like a lot of companies are using.
You can use Jenkins, you can use GitHub, you can use any kind of CI. In real time, the Terraform, you will use any kind of CI. GitLab, GitHub, Jenkins, Bamboo, or Argo CD, anything you can use it in real time. Okay, just that you need to know the technique how to integrate with Terraform. So any tool that you're using, right? Just you need to include that Terraform plugin and execute Terraform plan and apply. So I'll tell you in terms of GitHub how do we do that, or you can go with Jenkins, any kind of resource. I'll help you out if you're interested to set up some pipelines. Yeah, any other questions, folks? Folks, any questions?
No questions.
Okay, so people who are using Ubuntu, I'll paste the steps. People who are using Windows also, I'll paste the steps like how to configure this Terraform for Ubuntu or for any Linux who are using, right? You can use this. Basically, I'll just paste it in the chat box. You can use this in order to. Okay, there is a question I guess in the chat box. Hello, when do we have to start with it? Start with AWS immediately. Today you start with AWS, like it's just 4 hours or 6 hours of course, right? Start with AWS immediately. Have the kind of knowledge so that it'll be easy for you to cope. All right. Okay. So whoever is interested to do installing the Terraform, right? You can go to this particular portal. Maybe I can just show you guys. Go to Terraform portal. I'll paste the link as well in your chat box. Here, this is for Mac. You can just say Mac. For Mac, it is pretty easy. You can go with brew install. For Windows, you can download it from here, the binaries, and you can install it. So left side, choose your operating system and install it. I pasted the link, right? So to
Wait,
install the
Satish.
Terraform, once have, yeah, go ahead.
Hi, Satish. Actually, in our session, you are using Terraform in Windows, right? Or Linux?
Yes, it is Windows. I mean, if it is a Windows or Linux, you're going to use a command line, right? It doesn't matter, first of all. How you install is what matters. After you install, it's a Terraform command. Doesn't matter whether
Okay.
you use Windows or Linux,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
Yeah. So my environment is Windows, if you ask me. This is a laptop, I'm going to use it, and it is Windows.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
So install your Terraform. Once you install the Terraform, how do you verify? Just go here and do command prompt. Whether if it is a Windows for you or Linux for you, go to your terminal, type Terraform -version. You will be able to see the version of your Terraform what you install. I think I have installed 1.5.1. You can also upgrade it, but that's okay for me. 1.5.1 it's fine. Go with the latest if you want. Click on your Windows binaries to download your binary set based on your architecture. Do your installation, folks. Once you have installed it, you also need to perform installation about your AWS command line, which is needed for you. How do we install AWS command line? I'll paste the steps for AWS CLI for Linux. I just pasted, folks. I just pasted in your chat box how to install AWS CLI in your Linux, or for Windows and all, you can follow this link. This is a link uh, for installing the AWS CLI. Just go here, choose Windows operating system. You will be able to get your commands. You can execute in your PowerShell in order to get your AWS CLI. So I have already installed everything. So keep these things ready. Then we will see. Oh, no worries. I mean, we will see how do we configure it, because it's just a configuration. Once everything is done, right? I want to a few more as well. I want you to install Visual Studio code, VS Code, basically, right? So what steps I have came so far? Account creation. Yeah, this is a service introduction. This is for the credentials. I mean, sorry, AWS CLI. Once, okay. For Windows, right? If you guys already have Chocolatey installed, go for Choco install AWS CLI. This will install AWS CLI. I think I have already done AWS. It is there. Yeah, it is there. Right? AWS CLI, I have already installed it. You guys try to install it. How to install? For Linux people can use this directly, or for whoever wants to use the documentation, go to this particular documentation, install based on your operating system. How to install Linux, Mac, Windows, whoever uses whatever the operating system, follow that, right? Whoever wants to start with Azure, I can help you as well, guys. Like, go ahead with this configuration. This is for Azure configuration in order to perform this Azure, but you do not have to go with, I mean, everyone need not to go with that because we're going to see the AWS in our concepts, right? So this is the way. And once you have done your configurations, you have to perform this command called as AWS Configure. What is this command? This is the command I told you. We need to configure the credentials, what we noted, right? Like while creating this account, right? I created this Terraform user. Terraform user has some credentials. This is a credential. And I have the access key and secret key created for this. This credential I need to configure in my machine. How do I configure? I'll say AWS space configure. This is a command. Do enter. Just to enter, it will ask me the access key. What you do, whatever that you downloaded, right, or noted in your notepad or whatever it is, just copy that key and paste it here. And secret key also copy and paste it. Remaining thing, whatever being asked, just enter it. Okay, I'm not going to do anything. Why I'm not configuring is because I already configured in my machine. So for you, in order to configure, just do this AWS configure, right? Right. So this is a way to see your, configure your AWS account, right? Any questions, folks, in this? Once you have configured it, whether you have configured it correctly or not, your credentials will be stored in a position where you can say, yeah, okay, this is not git bash, right? It is a command prompt. I can use my git bash in order to perform because I'm familiar with git. Cat, you can say dot AWS/credentials. So in this file, you will see your credentials. Do not note it down, guys, because it's my credential. You will increase my bill. I'm trusting everyone, right? So this is my credential, and that credential will be used for AWS account. All right. So that's what I can just configure, reconfigure things as well. I will do that, but I'll delete the old users, which I have it. Right, folks, any questions so far? I hope everyone is clear for now.
No question.
So configure all these things. That will, yeah, help you to proceed the next session. So in the next session, what are we going to see is we're going to see about how are we going to, create our first Terraform code, and then we will talk about the concepts inside that, the different various, different sort of things in AWS. How do we automate is what we're going to see. So any questions? So after you do this, right, what is the binary download for Windows? Shall I download the Terraform? It would be necessary. So for Windows, you can go to Terraform portal. You can download the binary directly, or you have an installation MSI as well. You can go ahead with that. Anything is fine.
Satish, what is the course duration here?
I need at least 1.5 month, Sai, right?
Okay. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So at least
Okay.
one
You
and a half
mean to say
month
like
I need it.
45 hours?
Sorry?
You mean to say it is like 1.5 month it will be like 45 hours. Every day it will be 1 hour. No?
No, we won't see in the weekend, basically. At least, 30 hours I need it, basically. But yeah,
Okay.
it may go beyond that as well because it depends on our timing, how you guys have picked up, and it might be delayed because some doubts or something like that, right? So that's the ultimate goal. All right, folks, I hope everyone, the version is the same. You can use any version. You can go with the latest version. Whatever, I think 1.6.6 is what the latest is, what it was telling, right? Like 1.6.6 is the latest. You can go with the latest, no worries. All right. Any other questions, folks? Don't worry if you stuck somewhere. So in the first few minutes of tomorrow's class, we will see how do we set up this. Okay. I hope there's no questions. See you guys tomorrow.